Extra, extra, read all about it. Talon Strikes Studios launches Byline, a new crowdfunding campaign where you are playing a 1960s reporter trying to get the scoop on all the latest stories and meeting your deadline. Stick around after break so I can show you how it plays, and then I'm going to tell you why you might want to back it. All right, let's go ahead and set this up for a two-player game of Byline. I will start off saying that this is a prototype copy. So you're going to grab your board, and your circulation board for the depicted player count is right there, and I have it underneath these tokens right there. So you're going to have those face up for your player count. Again, this is a two-player one. You're going to be placing these black discs where these black triangles are on those three spots. You are going to be separating up your tokens up here, making a pile there. Then you're going to grab a predetermined amount of source tokens here. I'll display that on the screen at the present moment. And this is going to be based on player count. You're going to be taking those. You're going to throw them in the source bag. You're going to mix those up, and then you're going to fill up any rows there are. In a 3 and 4 player game, there will be 2 rows. Also, if while filling this up, you are about to put a fourth of one of the types of tokens, you are instead going to put that back in the bag and draw a new token. You're going to notice that you're going to be putting these on the unverified side, not on the verified side. So that is filling up the source row. For the circulation board, you're going to put a tracker on the depicted square circle. On the 3 and 4 player side, it's based on player count. You're going to put the round tracker on Monday. You're going to put these tokens in a supply. These are going to be gained by editor bonuses. Each player is going to choose a color, put one of their score tracking markers there. You're going to determine a first and second player. It's up to you how you wish to determine it. They're then going to grab the clock tokens in their depicted color, all their other discs. Their 50 and 100 marker here. You're going to put a disc on the 4, 5, and 6, and you're going to put one on your reputation track based on player count. With me being the first player, it goes on the 1, and I grab one of these clue tokens. If you are the second player, it'd go on the 2, and you'd be grabbing one of those. Then you are going to be setting up the news stories. You're going to be shuffling up your headlines, your international and national news, and then dealing out 3, leaving room for a discard. Byline is going to be played over 7 rounds. Each round is going to be played over 3 phases. The planning phase, which is where you're going to be putting out your time trackers. The resolution phase, where you're going to resolve the board. And then the cleanup phase, which is where you're going to get reset for the next day. So in the planning phase, you are going to be placing out your time trackers on the various actions on the board. You'll notice the actions, and then they have these numbers in the black circles. You have 1s, 3s, 2, 2, 2, 1, and 1. That is how many time tokens consecutively you need to put on there in order to take that action. So if I want to take this action, I would have to place my 1, and you'll notice these have a dark side and a light side. So you put your light side, and then when the action resolves is going to be your dark side, which is going to be the last one you place. After you place yours, then your opponent is going to place theirs. They can not go where you are, so instead, let's say they are going to instead choose to go in that column. So once all players would have had their time markers placed out, you would move into the resolution phase. When you do the resolution phase, you're going to start at 9 o'clock on the upper left and work your way across, and anything that has a dark number in it, you are going to resolve in a left to right manner. So in this instance, my opponent would be grabbing one of these tokens, and then you flip it over to show that it has been done. You then reset, go across 10, repeating this as you go across until you get to the end of the day. If while placing out your markers, you don't want to place out anymore, you can always pass, and then you'll get 1 point per disc that you have left when you pass, moving yourself on the coin track. So for the different actions, I'm going to come back to completing an assignment. When you take this action, you are going to take 2 unverified sources and or official reports. You're going to look at the ones that are adjacent to your markers, and you can take any 2 of those, or you can always take an official report instead. So in theory, I could take this, and then I could take an official report. This is very similar, except you only take 1. So you can either take 1 official or 1 unverified resource or 1 official report. Again, looking at what is adjacent to your discs. So if I had taken both of these, they would have no choice but to take an official report. This next one here is going to allow you to take a news story. So let's go ahead and look at these news stories really quick. When you look at these news stories, you're going to see a bit of information on them. You're going to see a number up here. That is going to be where on your player board you're going to place it when you take it. 9 is at what hour you need to have your marker in order to be able to write this story. These are the tokens you need to have in order to complete the story. This is going to be the reputation you're going to gain by completing it. This is going to be points you're going to get. And then down here would be where you could do for a story bonus. And I'll get into all of that when we talk about publishing and writing a story. Next up, this one is where you can verify your tokens, your sources. The first person who resolves this is going to be able to verify 1, which is just flip it over. The next person who does this in that same day would be able to flip over 2. If there's a third person, they're able to flip over 3. You can trigger it multiple times yourself. So if my markers were like this, I would flip 1, and then I'd flip 2 more. This one right here, all you're going to do is grab a research token. This last one is the bar. It doesn't open until 10, and this has a varied amount of uses based on this chart here. You can discard a unfinished news story to get 3 points. You can spend a reputation in order to get a news story or to get 3 points. Or you can spend 1 verified source or 2 unverified sources or 2 official reports or 3 research to either get a reputation, take a news story, or get 3 points. This first column here, coffee break, allows you to become the first player. So if they were in 1 and I was in 3, they would take over first and then I would become second. If I wasn't here, they would just still take over first. Anyone who doesn't take a coffee break maintains whatever position they were in, unless they get kicked back because of the first player. So, writing a news story. So, as I said, when you take a story, so let's go ahead and say we take this Herald. We are going to put it on our board in the 4 spot. And then I would need to have a marker at 11 o'clock in order to write this story. So when you write the story, again, you are going to discard your sources you need here. These do need to be verified. You cannot do unverified sources for a story. If you have not had a chance to verify them yet and you didn't go there and you need to write the story, you can always spend 1 reputation in order to verify a source. So at this point, I would return this to the supply. I would create a source discard pile for that one, and then I'm going to complete the story. So once you discard those tokens, you are going to move over the newspaper that it is. In this instance, it's the Herald. You are then going to give yourself points. In this instance, it's going to be 13 plus where it is. So that's going to be 16 points, like so. Then, as long as you wrote it on time, which is the only option in a 2-player game, you are now also going to be able to do an editor bonus and gain reputation. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab an editor's bonus or do a story bonus. You are going to grab one of your discs from your supply and you are going to choose if you want the editor's bonus or the story bonus. If you go with the editor's bonus, you're going to look to see where the circulation marker is for that newspaper. This is the Herald. You're then going to look down and you're going to see it's inside these 2 lines and you're going to look what type of story it is. This was an international, which is these middle 2 right here. So you can take one of these or any to the left. So I'd have access to all of those bonuses. The various bonuses that you see, these red ones, would be to take an unverified source token from up there. This would be to take an official report. That would be to take 2 research. These ones with the plus and the 2 times and etc. are going to be these tokens. These tokens are, this one is you can discard to verify 2 sources. This one allows you to put your marker on top of another player's marker. The marker on the bottom would resolve first though. This next one is when you claim a news story, you can discard that to take a second news story. And this top one is in relation to more the 3-player, 4-player, because in those instances you can write a story 1 hour late. But when you write it late, you wouldn't be getting these bonuses or the reputation. You could discard that token in order to get that. So if you chose one, you would simply place it and take the token if applicable. As you get further down, you are able to get reputation or just straight points. Alternatively, you can take a story bonus. a story bonus, you are going to be looking at the bottom of your card, and you're going to see it's got some symbols on the bottom here. And so you're going to look at your board here. You're going to find the newspaper you are at, the Herald, and you're going to choose one of those symbols, and you'll just place your marker in there, and that is going to be end game points. Then once you've claimed your bonus, you're going to move the amount of reputation as depicted on the card. For your reputation track, once you cross the 4, the 5, and the 6 mark, you are then going to grab the disc and use it to claim an editor bonus. You're going to see the 4, 5, and 6, but down here you're going to see the 4, 5, and 6 as well. When you claim the bonus from your reputation track, you can choose anything in the column above the number, so in this instance 4, or anything to the left. It doesn't matter what type of news story, it can be any of those spots. Once you are done with the resolution phase, you are going to move into the cleanup phase. In the cleanup phase, the bottommost source token, if it is there, will get discarded to the source token. You are going to slide these down, and you're going to refill up this row just like you did at the beginning of the game. Again, if you're going to place a fourth one, put it back in the bag, draw a new one until you do not have a fourth of the same. For these piles over here, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to discard any that are in the far right spot. You are going to slide them over, and then you're going to refill them until there is 3. You are going to slide the day marker over. You are going to slide down these blocking discs. And also, you'll be taking back your hour markers. That will technically be the first thing you are going to end up doing. That way you have room for the blocker markers to move. And finally, if you had any news stories on your board, they would move down 1 spot as well. If at any point they move off of your board, then you are going to lose a reputation. Also, if you go to write a story and you are unable to, you will also lose a reputation. You are going to play over 7 days. At the end of the 7th day, you're going to score for a few different things. The endgame exchange is shown right here. If you have a story that you were not able to get published, but you have all of the items for it, you will be able to lose 1 reputation and gain points equal to half the number rounded up, but you do not get the reputation bonus or any form of editor or story bonus. Next, you are going to look at the story track and see how many discs you have on it. So if I had that many on there, I will then also look at my reputation track. Whatever number you have passed, that times however many discs is what you're going to score. So in this example, I have 4 discs. I am past the 3. I would have 12. If I'd gotten all the way up here, 5 times 4 would give me 20 points. Finally, you're going to look down here, your 3 research, your 2 official reports, 2 unverified sources, or 1 verified source. Each one of those is going to give you a coin as well. Most points is the winner. So let's go ahead and get into my thoughts on this one. So there you have it. There are the basic ins and outs of Byline. So as you see, I would consider this game a programming worker placement type of game, because you're going to put your workers out, which are those clocks, trying to choose when you're going to do them, and hopefully have the stuff you need when you need to do it, such as writing that story, being able to have those verified sources, etc., and hoping that your opponent hasn't hindered you or gotten in your way or taken what you need. So I will say right now I'm going to be covering the 2-player aspect, and there is going to be a solo mode. It does seem fairly robust. I did look over the rule book of it. There is a campaign element to it if it is something you want to look at for that. If you're interested in seeing what that all entails, you can go ahead and check out the link to the campaign below to get more information on that and the game in general. So with the 2-player aspect, I will say the first player does have a very distinct advantage, so you're going to want to make sure that you make sure you grab that, especially for writing stories. Because with the 3rd and 4th player, you are able to write late. You aren't able to do that in the 2-player version, so it does seem like it's really vitally important to go ahead and grab that first player marker. Outside of that, though, everything else flowed really well, worked really good. We really enjoyed it. The first game was a little slow as we were really trying to figure out and look and see how things maneuver and interact with things and kind of like what leads to what. But by the time we played our second game, we were flying through this. We played it in like half the time because we knew just bam, 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 grab what I need, bam, 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 go. So it does get in a really good flow of just laying out the time markers, grabbing stuff, because really the only thing that takes a long time is completing a news assignment. That's just because there's like 5 steps to it. Everything else is quick, but even those 5 steps for the news assignment is like move this marker, give yourself points, choose your bonus, move up your reputation, your turn. So again, it still moves quick, even with it being the long action, but everything else just moves along. I mean, you can get through the resolution phase in no time if no one's writing a story. Like it's maybe a minute because it's simply just grab, 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 flip maybe, and so forth. And as I mentioned, it's got that program element to it, and that is normally something that Bry doesn't like or can't really get her head around. But this one worked well for her, and the more we played it, the more she enjoyed it. Because she is not one who typically is easy. It's not easy for her to plan out multiple turns in a row. But for this one, I think it's because you kind of lay it all out and then you can kind of see where it is, and the chance of it getting taken, depending on when you're in the day, is low. She was able to properly line up stuff. And I know I did, I think she did somewhat too, is we kind of kept an eye on when's that person writing a story. They're writing at 11. All right, I'm going to try to avoid the 11 o'clock stories so we don't have to fight over it. Some people might actually go for 11 o'clock then to try and do the cutthroat play. More power to you if you want to. But that is something that we try to avoid to do. That way we knew we weren't getting each other's way and we're able to coexist in the newsroom as co-workers should. And as it pertains like the editor's bonus and the story bonus, that's an interesting dynamic of, do you flip at a certain time, like after day 3 or 4, do you start kind of get those story bonuses, especially if you see your reputations getting up there? Or is it going to be more based on, what editor bonuses are available to you? Maybe you don't want anything, so I'll just go and do a story bonus instead. And then like with the headline ones, those you can put anywhere. So those ones you kind of maybe have a little bit more wiggle room. So maybe those are what you'll use for your story bonus and not necessarily for the editor bonus. And then what I really like too is that bar location. That bar location has a lot going on and it looks kind of overwhelming. But once you understand it, it is easy, and it's nice because it's kind of one of those ones that you can go to if you weren't able to do what you needed to do. Like if you didn't have the 2 to go ahead and grab a news story, you can go there and you're able to get a news story by spending a reputation or possibly spending tokens that you have in excess. Or maybe you're just nearing the end of the game. You aren't going to have the stuff for your news story, so go ahead and go there, turn it in, so that way you can get the 3 points for it. So just kind of having that almost catch-all location that only requires 1 disc is a good way to kind of mitigate if you can't quite do what you need to do outside of that. Like I said, getting the reputation or getting news stories, etc. So overall, I would say is if you are someone who likes games where you get to plan out multiple turns in a row or have that program movement, this is one you should check out. If you are really interested in the theme, I feel like it comes out fairly well in this, in that you aren't just going to have these unlimited actions or this unlimited wealth of time. You literally have to manage the time in your day as you would then, because it's going to take time to go to the news editor and get your story. It's going to take time to go ahead and gather these sources. It's the 60s. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have internet. So you have to actually, hit the ground. You have to work the phones, all of that. So it really does, that's a good implementation of that time mechanic to fit the theme well. The news headlines, the news stories, all that does seem to really kind of fit that era and immerse you in that time period. And just as I said, just the way everything kind of works out with the whole only one person able to write their story at a time, because as I said, it was a different time back then. You couldn't have multiple people submitting it because the person can only kind of look at one thing. They're not able to get the emails and so forth. I will say I kind of did wish that we could have wrote the stories late in a 2-player game, just if we had to get kind of pushed into that whole, I need to have this 11 o'clock story because I want to score a certain amount of points, especially for the headlines. That's something I didn't really touch in on when I was talking there. I'll have left a note on it, is that the headline is not on the bottom. It's wherever the marker gets moved to. So those headline stories start getting more and more beneficial as it goes on, because you're going to start scoring more and more points as that one newspaper is getting pushed forward. So that's the other strategy is, how do you manage those circulation tracks? So you can kind of keep an eye on the newspaper, how much reputation does it give, how many points it gives. So even though it is simply just putting out time, there is that whole lot to look at when you're grabbing those cards. So again, if all of that does seem interesting to you, go ahead and check out the link down below for the campaign. While you're down looking at that link, I'd appreciate if you could go ahead and give us a like, a subscribe, a share, ring the bell, comment. Let me know what interests you about this game. Also down there are ways you can help support the channel by hitting up our Patreon, hitting up our Ko-fi, or joining this channel to get exclusive perks such as seeing our videos early. Alrighty, so get out there and get that story.